I just took a loss of $10 on this trade, $10 or $11 thereabouts. Okay, so and I just want to explain, okay, my trading processes. And as I usually say, that I usually know the reason why I have a loss. All right, though this one is unexpected. This one is unexpected. Really, it is unexpected. But regardless, let me just quickly show you what I actually see in this market before I trade it. All right, so I actually went down to 1 hour time frame. Okay, so I went down to 1 hour time frame, and I observed that at 1 hour time frame, the price is entirely in a, should I say, in a downtrend, or probably 4 hour. I think it's okay. Let me check it very well. Okay, you can see now, actually price is actually in an uptrend. Okay, in an uptrend. But the confluences that makes me to enter this trade is that I actually mark up my 1 hour supply zone, as you can see on this screen right now. Okay, so I mark up my 1 hour supply zone. You can see right there, this is my 1 hour supply zone. So when I see that, okay, this is a 1 hour supply zone, and I observe that price is actually currently creating lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower highs, so I know that price wants to create another low. All right, so that is one thing that actually give me confidence, is that okay, this currency is going to sell. So now I went down to my 15 minutes time frame. Okay, I actually entered this trade in the morning. Okay, I entered this trade in the morning. So when I got to 15 minute time frame, I actually see that price has already tapped into this 1 hour supply zone, and after price make a new higher highs, price make a new higher low, right? So this is at the point at which I expect price to create another new high, but price actually failed to create another high. So what simply happened right there is that price created a liquidity sweep, okay, above here. So there was a liquidity sweep above here. So since we have a liquidity sweep above here, I went down to my 5 minute, because I know that since there is a liquidity sweep, price might want to sell based on 1 hour time frame. All right, so I went down to my 5 minutes to look for my market structure shift. Okay, so when I got to 5 minutes time frame, I see that price created a 5 minutes break of structure to the upside, because price was actually creating minor higher highs, higher low, higher highs, higher low, higher highs, higher low, and higher highs. All right, so I know that this is my last 5 minute break of structure to the upside. And the moment I notice that price, after price creates a new high here, you can see this candlestick, you can see that this is a liquidity candle, right? So and then price simply push to the downside, creating lower lows, lower highs, lower low, something like this. So when I see that there is a 5 minutes market shift around there, okay, and I see that was in the morning, okay, and I see that price created a new low here, so I expect price to come and retest this 5 minutes supply zone. All right, and immediately I see that price respected this 5 minutes supply zone, as you can see right here. Okay, price respected this 5 minutes supply zone, and this is the point at which I actually entered this trade, that I was envisioning that this trade is going to keep selling to the downside, and eventually price was actually selling to the downside. But this is the reason why I lose this trade. Okay, that I noticed, that I observe, is that I actually went down to my 15 minutes time frame, number one. So I observed that there is a minor demand zone sitting right there, because you see that price was actually creating higher highs, higher low. Then when price got to this level here, price reversed a little bit. This is 15 minutes time frame, and in my experience, 15 minute time frame is a strong time frame as well that price can react to, so before price push to the upside. So at this zone right here, this is a 15 minutes demand zone. All right, this is a 15 minutes demand zone. Can you see that? You can see that immediately price tap into this 15 minutes demand zone right here, price pushed to the upside. Now you might be wondering that, then why did I lose this trade? Now I know the reason why I actually lose this trade. Okay, so let me just quickly let me quickly explain that. So right, the reason why price actually reversed all the way up here is because there was a minor demand zone right here, 15 minutes demand zone. All right, so price simply tapped into this demand zone and then price went all the way up here. All right, so the reason why I lose this trade, I have actually identified the reason why I lose this trade, and I think that it is something that is very important that you also know, that even though I as a trader, I know the reason why I lose this trade. Okay, the moment I actually, the time that I entered this trade in the morning was about no, it was not okay, it was when this particular candle actually formed, because I actually viewing this trade at about 15-minute time frame in the morning. So this candle that actually formed, you can see that this is an engulfing candlestick. All right, when this engulfing candlestick formed, that was when I actually entered this trade, and the time in the morning was about 11:45 a.m. okay, so and normally I usually trade New York session that usually starts by 1 o'clock, and London session, overlap London session that start by 2. Okay, so when I say that this is a engulfing bearish candlestick, this was at the point I entered this trade. Now, how this trade got to my stop loss is simply because this trade scenario actually happened. I can say that this is a news. Okay, I can say that this is a news, but one thing is that when this candle actually formed, it was at the point that New York session and London session overlapped together, and that actually, although this is a BTC, but I have learned that during London and New York overlap session, Bitcoin also have this tendency to actually react based on this trading session, and that is something that I believe that actually happened here. Another thing that actually happened is that I actually observed that, okay, since I see my market structure shift at 5-minute time frame and I have my last break of structure to the upside, okay, so what I am supposed to expect this afternoon is that I am supposed to mark up my 15-minute candlestick. Okay, 15-minute candlestick. So let me just delete this one. So this is my 15-minute candlestick. All right, so this is my 15-minute supply zone, rather 15-minute supply zone. So since I have this 15-minute supply zone, so I just wish that I hold on for New York sessions to start by afternoon, because when price was actually moving to the downside and I entered around here, okay, so this is more like I didn't refine my edge down based on this liquidity candle, based on this 15-minute supply zone. All right, so and you can see the moment price tapped into this zone, it was about 2:30. So New York session and London session overlap has already started. So since there is an overlap session, they push the price up, and immediately they were pushing price all the way down. You can see I already have my, I already set my TP and all of that. Okay, so this is something that I actually observed. So price simply created a market shift here, reverse all the way down, tap into our 15-minute supply zone, then keep pushing to the downside. Really, this is all there is about this trade setup. So, and one thing that I don't want to forget to say is that I know that some traders, okay, they will say that, okay, since price is already selling to the downside around here, that I can still enter. One thing is that I cannot enter this trade because it's more like I want to catch a falling knife. All right, it's more like I want to catch a falling knife. And in trading, you don't try to catch a falling knife, because if you try to catch a falling knife, you are going to get hurt, and I don't want to lose another trade. So I know that I have learned from this trade. I learned from this trade today, and one thing that I'm going to be ensuring that I do is that I'm going to be ensuring that I prepare myself ahead of the market towards the New York and London overlap session. And that is something that I have been doing. Actually, that's something that I've been doing, because if you check my live playlist, that is how I usually trade. But this morning I just felt like, oh, price has already aligned to my trading plan, and I just felt like, and this is a cryptocurrency, this is a Bitcoin, right? Okay, so I just felt like, okay, since this currency has already aligned with my trading plan, let me just get right into the trade. But it is what it is, so there's nothing I can do about that. So traders, I just want this to be a transparency video, that because I'm trading my funded account right now, and I don't want to miss anything out. I don't want to miss anything out. I'm doing this for myself, and I'm doing this for beginner traders out there that want to learn as well. So trader, this is what it means to be a independent trader. Okay, so, and one thing that I don't want to also forget to say is that my loss on this trade is not huge. So my emotion is not attached to it. Okay, I only lost about $10 to $11 on this trade. In fact, let me just show you, so that you are going to see with yourself, with your own eyes as well. Okay, so because I have two 5K funded accounts. Okay, so on that trade, can you see this is $6 loss on this trade, and the other account I also lost about $5. Okay, I also lost about $5. So let me just show you that real quick. Okay, so can you see this is $5 loss? So 5 and 6, that's about $11 loss. So risk management is very important in trading, and I know that I know how to risk based on my trading plan, and I just hope that tomorrow is going to be a better day, right? I know that, because this month, this week that we are right now is going to lead to the end of this month, but I know that I'm going to make money before this month end. Okay, before this month end, I know that I'm going to make profits. So traders, I just want this to inspire you. So stay true to yourself and keep learning.